Welcome to another week of Shore Conference Football Talk. It's the Varsity Link Coaches Corner on the Shore Sports Network. We are live at River Rock Restaurant and Marina Bar in Brick tonight. We've got a great show coming at you. Two of the best teams in the Shore, top-ranked and undefeated Red Bank Catholic, and number 9 Manasquan coming off a big win over their old rival. This week we'll have those guys on to talk. Bob Batters alongside Ed Sarluca. We've got Steve Meyer behind the camera, Tom Trembley, our engineer, and it's the final week, Ed, of the regular season. I guess. I think I've been saying that week 6 was the first, 7 was the final week.
Postseason, their short conference is called.
Whatever these 2 weeks are called. It's the last week before the state playoffs, so the fall weather's here. There's a little bit of a chill in the air. It's playoff time coming up. Before that, we have some big games coming up this week. We had some big games last week. Some great stuff to talk about with our guest today, and we'll get right into the Week 8 recap. And one of the games, we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth, but that was the game that we were at, our Butcher Block Game Day Countdown Game of the Week, and that was the Point Bar Manasquan game. We were there, thrilling one, 35-30 for Manasquan. Again, we'll touch on that more. We have head coach Jay Price and their outstanding senior Cole Kozlowski on with us just a little bit. But an impressive win for Manasquan and a pretty entertaining game, Ed.
Very impressive. First time I had seen Manasquan live, and very impressive performance by all around. I mean, they ran the ball, they threw the ball, they played great defense. The score ended up 35-30. I think that score was no indication of how that game went. Burrow scored a couple of touchdowns in the last couple of minutes of that football game and made a couple of 2-point conversions and converted an onside kick like I had never seen before. Tremendous onside kick. And, it just had that zing to it. Manasquan just could not be stopped offensively.
Yeah, down 14-0. They scored 35
kickoff.
Straight points, 35-14, and away they go. And as you mentioned, Burrow put in a few ones late with an onside kick linking those drives together. But a big win for the Warriors against their old Thanksgiving rival. Those two programs have met a handful of times in recent years, a couple times in state playoffs, some big ones. So some nice bragging rights for the Big Blue as they move on this week and get ready for the playoffs. Our other guest, and that's number 1 Red Bank Catholic, 8-0 on the season after really a resounding 47-7 win over a good Manalapan team that was ranked number 5 or number 6 in the Shore last week, or number 5. They're one of those. They were in there last year.
One loss, Manalapan.
Yes, and a very good Manalapan team, and an impressive showing for the Caseys. Their senior quarterback, Alex Brown, 3 touchdown passes, another one on the ground. Torrin Harmon over 100 yards in his breakout game for the Caseys, and also a touchdown. And RBC keeps rolling, and again, we'll talk about that more, and we'll talk about their big game coming up this Friday night against number 3 Donovan Catholic. But hard not to look at that result and come away very impressed. Consider we know Manalapan's a very quality team.
Exactly. The Shore Conference did it very well when they, presented these postseason football games, instead of coming out with those pods, top 4 teams or 4 teams, the winners play and the losers play. You would have got some repeat games. They didn't want that, and they didn't get it. And but they gave out, they divvied up the teams and put them in the exact brackets that everybody wants to see. I mean, who doesn't want to see Donovan Catholic and RBC in this last week of the regular season?
Yeah, I mean, there are some really good matchups. I mean, you could go last week. There wasn't too many blowouts, and even in those games, the matchups were good. You can't complain about the matchups per se. Moving on to the rest of the top 10, a throwback game, kind of bring back to your days when you were roaming the sidelines as a defensive coordinator. And that was number 2 Rumson with a 12-7 victory over number 4 Middletown South. All defense in that game, a pair of touchdowns by Rumson senior quarterback Colin Kennedy. Big game on defense by their junior defensive back Bo Kemmler. A couple interceptions, a handful of tackles for a loss. And the Bulldogs, they bounced back after the lost RBC the week prior with another big win over Middletown South, which was undefeated going into that game.
Middletown South, even with the loss, they just don't give up many points. You better keep the game close because they're not going to give you 4 or 5 touchdowns. They're going to give you 1 or 2 touchdowns. And Rumson, who obviously had been playing, one of the top 3 teams in the Shore, came out with the 12-7 victory, and big win for Rumson.
Absolutely. Those two teams have really played some great games
good
over
teams.
the last 4 or 5 seasons with both teams, seemingly getting wins like that. Maybe not of 12-7 variety, but close games coming down to the wire. And that's a good game regardless of the win or loss preparing those teams for the playoffs, because both of those teams are going to be high seeds in their respective sections and have a chance to win a sectional championship. Number 3, Donovan Catholic, another big win over a ranked opponent, 42-7 over number 8 Southern. I mean, the Griffins really overpowered them. Jalen Butler, their senior quarterback, another strong game, 2 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. Nunez Bukla over 100 yards and a touchdown, and spreading the wealth and playing good defense, and they set themselves up to go into Count Basie tonight coming off a win. So Donovan, not a surprise there. Maybe the result, Southern, we know is a strong team and had both of their losses were very close so far, but the Griffins come away with a big one there, Ed.
The other one, Lacey and Central Regional. Central 2 losses in a row now, but Lacey hung tough and won it in the fourth quarter. And Lacey, where are they sitting at? 5-2 now, Bobby? 5-2, and looking like a top 8 team in that South 4 bracket.
And that's a really good win for Lacey, and that's back-to-back weeks. They went on the road. They have the dramatic win over Colts Neck the week prior on that Saturday when they scored with under a minute left to win the game after being down, after being up by 2 touchdowns, then being down by 2 touchdowns in a back-and-forth game. We talked about that last week when we had the Lions on when we were down in Ocean County, in Toms River, I should say. And a good win, again, for the Lions. That's a strong Central team. You mentioned it has lost 2 in a row now, but 2 close games. So Lacey, a really good one, as you said, getting ready for the state tournament. That's a quality win. Really helps them power points. That's a 6-win Group 4 team in Central.
That going down Middletown North game surprised me
exactly.
a little bit.
Going down the top 10. I mean, you had number 5 Wall with a 42-14 win over Middletown North, and Wall was and Middletown North were deadlocked at 14 all. Middletown North scored a touchdown in the last couple minutes of that first half to tie it up. Wall gets the ball back early third quarter. First play, Matt Dahl, a 52-yard touchdown run, and the Crimson Knights were on their way. A really strong defensive performance because that's a balanced Middletown North offense. They'll run it if you give it to them. They can throw it. Their senior quarterback, Tommy Giannone, has had a couple 300-yard games, including a huge one the prior week against St. John Vianney. And they really held him down. He threw for around 180 yards, a couple touchdowns to Zach Seawright, who's really having a good year at tight end, but they just didn't allow anything on the ground. -6 rushing yards for Middletown North, and Wall completely owned that second half. And a big win for Wall because we know Wall's a quality team, but they were sitting at 3-3. Really didn't have any kind of signature win yet. Middletown North had won 4 games in a row coming in. So a good one for the Crimson Knights as, again, they try to get ready for the state playoffs.
Yep, exactly. So many good quarterbacks in the Shore this year. I mean, some outstanding quarterbacks. Some go unnoticed because their team may not, be undefeated or be in the top 5 of the Shore or whatever. But, we're going to see 2 of the great ones, on Friday night when Alex Brown and Jalen Butler face off against each other, Donovan Catholic and RBC.
That's a good point. And you never know. Coming into the season, you go off the prior year. Okay, who's back? Who were the all-shore type players? And you never know who's going to emerge. And we talked about that before we came on, and even before last week's game. Manasquan's junior quarterback, Brett Patton, has emerged as one of the best quarterbacks in the Shore.
Totally agree with that.
Over 1,100 yards passing, 16 touchdowns, I believe, has only thrown a few picks. And the same thing with Alex Brown. We'll talk about that with their head coach, Mike Lang, when the cases are on in a little bit. And those are just a couple of them. I mean, you go down the line, and even in the Point Borough-Manasquan game, you had Point Borough's quarterback, Charlie Batal, a little bit different. He's not throwing as much. They're running the triple option, but he's having a great year. Goes on and on down the line, which means Shore is not going to be too fun.
No,
not
fun at all.
From my perspective, when you're doing that, you hope those kids play other positions too so you can find a spot for them, but we'll figure that out when the time gets there. Some other interesting results. Freehold Borough, big win over a quality Holmdel team, 34-21. Interesting, they moved Kamor Gill, who's been their quarterback, to wide receiver. They put Spencer Rushton in at quarterback, and Gill only had 11 catches for over 100 yards, 3 total touchdowns, threw a couple passes, had double-digit tackles on defense. And that's a nice win for the Colonials because they had been kind of up and down.
Lost a few in a row, right?
Yeah, they had a little bit of a roller coaster season for Dave Ellis's crew. And Homedale, a very solid team, a tough team to play against, running that split back veer, and just a good defensive showing overall, and a nice win there for the Colonials. Shore Regional keeps it going. That's 6 straight wins for the Blue Devils. They lost to Point Borough, first game of the year, and they have not lost since. And
speaking of quarterbacks, how about their quarterback?
He's a quarterback, a running
Mizako.
back. He's just giving the ball, and that's Jamie Mizako. It's like I feel like a broken record every week, putting together Player of the Week candidates, writing the recaps. I can just like kind of cut and paste the first couple sentences, and he's doing it all. You know, he's running for over 100 yards. He's throwing a couple, touchdown passes. He's kicking field goals. He's playing well on
Makes
defense.
every extra point.
Yeah.
I mean, he does. I thought I saw him driving the school bus to that away game too. But I mean, he's a good player, and he sure goes as he goes.
Yeah, and just a fantastic athlete, a great 3-sport, star as well. A legitimate 3-sport all-shore candidate. Football, he's one of the top upperweight wrestlers in the shore, and he's an excellent lacrosse player. And when you talk to him, that's his first love too. He's a really good middie on that lacrosse field. Brick Memorial snapped a losing streak as well, 31-0 over Matawan. Their sophomore quarterback Connor Dietz, he's had a real solid year. I know head coach Walt Curry thinks highly of him, and he had another good game, well over 100 yards on the ground, a couple touchdowns. Brick Memorial first shutout. I want to go back. I believe since 2017.
I
had it in the scoreboard, but I believe first shutout since 2017.
4 years, yeah.
The impossible result to find, but when I did find it, it was a good one, was Jackson Memorial with
and Brick.
14-8 win over Brick Township. That's an old A-South rivalry. Jackson started the season 0-6, beat Liberty, their rival, the week before, and then came in and beat their old Class A South rival. Scored a touchdown late. Their junior quarterback, Ty Mann, had the tying 2-point conversion, and then he had the game-winning rushing touchdown in overtime. So the Jags get a big one. That looks like it might keep Brick out of the playoffs.
I was just going to say it's a bad loss for Brick.
It's a tough one. That's 2 in a row. Brick fell to Neptune the week before, and now Jackson Morrow. So got to crunch the numbers. Brick still might be able to get him. Looks like they're probably going to need some help. They don't play this week. Would have been their 9th game anyway, so they're kind of on the outside looking in from that perspective. Barnegat 48-20 over Lakewood. How about Jojo Bivens?
Yeah.
Missed a game, maybe 2. I know he missed some time, but he's come back with a vengeance. Over 200 yards rushing, and a program single-game record, 6 rushing touchdowns. He now has the most, in addition to that, most rushing yards in a single season in Barnegat history, and the most touchdowns. So that's a pretty good accomplishment. Barnegat, known probably more for their passing, during the Rob Davis years, but they ran the ball pretty well and had some good running backs. Fitzpatrick comes to mind, but now Bivens, who's only a junior, stands at the top of their single-season rushing record. So nice win for Barnegat. They lost a couple in a row. They bounced back with the win. Ocean off the schneid as well. First win for the Big Red, and they shut out Neptune 28-0. It's a rivalry game. And also, Neptune had 1-2 in a row. It looked like they had been playing much better football. So that's a nice win for the Spartans. Pinelands 34, Manchester 33. That was an exciting game.
Defensive effort, huh?
Nice game for Pinelands quarterback Ryan Allen. A couple touchdowns, threw for 100, ran for 100. Their head coach Matt Fuller said he believes that's the first time quarterback has done that during his 5-year tenure there. Mike Hall, another strong game, a couple rushing touchdowns. And the Wildcats don't look now 4-3 on the season. Pinelands having a solid year. And then on Saturday, a couple lopsided victories. Keensburg 42-0 over Point Beach. And Marlboro 34-6 over Toms River South. Marlboro
they're going to sneak in.
They're going to make the playoffs. And I believe that's only, I want to say, their 3rd or 4th appearance in program history. So the Mustangs having a nice season and looking to cap it off with a postseason berth. And that does it for Week 8, Ed.
Yeah.
Anything else stand out to you?
No, I mean, just, as I said, the Shore Conference did a nice job matching up these teams, and especially this week coming. I mean, there's some classic matches this week, and some of these state prognosticators are going to have a tough time trying to figure out who's what. I was talking to Jay off the record and Jay Price, the Manasquan coach.
You mean off the air? Because I hope if you're talking off the record, you're not going to
off the record. I mean, off the air. But, neither of us could really figure out how these brackets go. It's hard to figure them out week by week. You know me. I like to stay on top of the brackets, and I could basically in the past years tell you who's going to be the top 8 teams in the South, who's going to be the top 8 in the Central, and so on.
Yeah,
can't do that this year.
Not the way it's structured. Sorry, a few games forgot to mention. Raritan 40-28 over Asbury Park here in Foul Zone. School single game record, 5 rushing touchdowns, so big win for the Rockets. Monmouth 20-7 over Jackson Liberty. Freehold Township 16-7 over Toms River East. And Toms River North in a back-and-forth game wins 25-22 over St. John Vianney. Those are your Week 8 scores. So that officially wraps it up for Week 8, except for the conversations we'll have with our guests. Our first guest will be the Manasquan Warriors, and that'll be coming up next. You're watching the Varsity Link Coaches Corner on the Shore Sports Network. Back here at River Rock Restaurant and Marina Bar in Brick, the Week 9 Varsity Link Coaches Corner. And this week's episode and every week here on the Shore Sports Network is brought to you by Varsity Link. It's the athlete's social media network. First social media platform designed as a recruitment tool to help enhance an athlete's opportunity and a coach's recruitment process. A lot of clutter in social media. What this does is cuts all that out, gets straight to what you're looking for as far as high school football players, high school athletes in general, looking, just to get their stuff out there and get ready for college. So, want to know more? Go to www.varsitylink.com, or you can download the app on the Google Play Store or the App Store. And with that, we welcome in our first guest of the evening from right down the road. Nice little short drive. It's the Manasquan Warriors head coach Jay Price and their outstanding two-way senior Cole Kozlowski, coming off a big win, 5-2 on the season. Looking forward to the state playoffs. And guys, thanks a lot for again taking the short drive down 35 into 70.
I thought I saw the Manasquan boat, drop off the team. No, Jay?
We probably could have made that happen.
So we go back to last week, and a big game. You go across the canal, across the river, however you want to say it, and you take on a Point Borough team that was your Thanksgiving rival for so many years. They were undefeated, 6-0, 2 top 10 teams in the Shore. You're down 2 touchdowns, and you score 35 straight points and come away with a 35-30 win. A big one for a lot of reasons, Coach, and I know you're very pleased with the way the team handled themselves on Friday night.
Yeah, it didn't quite happen the way we drew it up. But, playing those teams, you try to catch up with their speed as quickly as you can. We made a couple mental mistakes early that put us in a pretty deep hole. But our kids have been in tough games all year. They're mentally tough. They battled back, and we played well enough to win. They're a well-coached team. They're a machine offensively, and they play good defense. We had to play our best to win, and we made big plays when it counted.
Cole, you were our player of the game. Pretty easy choice, although Mr. Patton could have very easily taken that award.
Mr. Kavanaugh, too. Don't forget him.
Yeah, a couple of guys played very well. But you at the wide out, catching those flanker screens. Manasquan runs the flanker screen as good as anybody I've seen in a few years. Tell us about it.
We call it the keys, the key 1 and 2s. And honestly, Brett gets to pick which one.
What do you call the play, actually? You call it a flanker screen, or
no? It's kind of like reads that he has to make.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's the RPO. He reads with the running back, sees where the outside linebackers go, see if they bite. He'll make his decision, and he's been doing well. He's been doing well at it this year.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if it makes a difference if there's somebody pressing you or somebody 6 yards off the ball, because when you get it, zoom, you're down the sideline like you did on that. What was it, 74 yards?
77.
77 down to the 5-yard line. How'd you get caught? Somebody have an angle?
You said you were mad about that.
I was pretty angry about it, I'm not going to lie. But I think after watching the film, I think the kid who called me had the angle.
Had the angle.
But
that's what you say.
You watch the film, the all 22, so to speak. You tip your cap, I guess, huh?
Yep.
You know, as I was saying to Coach Price, you know, Point Borough is undefeated. You know, running that flex bone option to basically to perfection. You know, averaging over 42 points a game coming in, playing solid defense, and all of a sudden they're on you 14-0 end of the first quarter. What was the conversation like, just in between there, trying to stay poised and know there was plenty of time left to come back and make some adjustments?
We were calm. I mean, I feel like Coach told us, everyone was talking about it. We knew that they were going to hit a few on us. We knew they were going to score, get up early. We knew that they were going to get their plays with the misdirection, everything like that. And we tried to get back to us, do our thing on offense, take care of it on defense, and we ended up doing all right.
Jay, was it odd in a way that, the way they got their 2 scores early was they hit you for passing plays. And obviously you're selling out, so to speak, trying to stop what they're doing up front. And all of a sudden they hit you down the seam for a touchdown. They do it again to set up a touchdown. At that point, what are you trying to do? Because obviously you're so focused to gear up. Stop the dive, stop the pitch, stop the quarterback. And then they're hitting you wide open down the seam for a passing touchdown.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the secret, right? That's the magic to that offense. They try to, lull you to sleep with the dives, and then they'll try and tweak holes with the quarterback in there, and they catch you playing over aggressively on the run, And I don't know who asked me, but they said, what kind of adjustments did you make at halftime? And I said, well, we told our defense not to play so aggressively, which sounds so counterproductive or intuitive, but you got to go back to just playing fundamentals. Safeties have to clear their 3 steps. The corners have to do the same thing, and you have to make sure that you're taking care of the fundamentals, reading your keys, and then flying to the ball. Which we were keying in on the run because that's the book on them, and they took advantage of it. Like I said, they're really well coached, and they caught us. They caught us when they had to.
Jay, very simple question. You got a lot of great players on this team. Were you surprised? Are you surprised at how well they have played and where they have put you?
Surprised? No. Coach Sella, our offensive staff, Coach Lee, Falkenberg, and Brochet do a great job with them. We started introducing some new things in the summer. We practiced twice a week. We tried not to overload them with things, but by the time we started practice, vocabulary was down, the fundamentals were down, the different tweaks in the offense were down, and they kind of took ownership of it. And that's really the key, right? You try to develop trust with your players or between your players and coaching staff, and I thought that happened pretty quickly. And it only grew from there. And they've taken great ownership of the offense and have worked hard on it.
And I want to a little bit more on that for both of you guys, but I'll start with you, Jay. I mean, for as long as I've known Madison football, it's a multiple eye offense. Yep. You guys are you are what you were, and there was no secret about that. And now you guys are doing things that it's starkly different if you're used to seeing Madison play a different way. I don't know why you've done it. You've talked about that. The personnel has dictated to play more of a spread style, especially with the quarterback you have, the weapons you have on the outside. What was that conversation like? And I know it kind of started last year, but in terms of, hey, we're going to change some things up because, we have these kids to make this kind of offense happen.
You know what? It started with baby steps. Some of the first conversations we had, it's okay if we're going to introduce this new stuff. Do we start out with our gap stuff or our zone stuff? And what's going to be easiest to learn, and how do we introduce more things, and how do we eventually spoon feed and then start serving larger meals of information. And like I said, none of it would have been possible if these guys didn't jump in and take ownership of it, and they really did absorb it. And that's how we started. We just started, okay, this is what we're familiar with. We'll start with this, and this is how we complement it. This is how we move into different zone schemes, and this is how we'll complement that. And like I said, every step of the way, these guys hit every mark they could. They progressed every step of the way. They did a phenomenal job. It's hats off to both the staff and the kids.
And Cole, I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but you went from being kind of a player who was like an H-back almost. You played a little bit of fullback, a little bit of a tight end. You got some carries. And now you're pretty much a straight-up wide receiver out there. And I know they'll move you around a little bit when they need to, but I imagine the way this offense is structured, you're having a good time, because I looked at your stats, and they look like you're having a good time out there, running the spread offense with all the different weapons you guys have.
Definitely. I mean, I love it. Going from blocking on powers, and now I'm out wide catching passes. It's awesome. And I feel like everyone on the team bought into the offense. And the weapons we have, we got Highland on the outside, Pender's on the outside, Woodford and Jameer Howard in the backfield with Patton doing it all, and Presby going in there to block and catch passes when he needs to. It's awesome.
I know you got one, but I just want, before we switch off this, how important is it, even though you're switching the offense, Jay, to a spread to still keep your identity of what you guys do and what you have been. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, what I'm trying to say, but, you've played a certain way for so long, and it's become part of the fabric of what Manasquan football is. You change the offense, maybe that goes away. How have you tried to make sure that doesn't happen?
Well, you got to make sure it marries up to the philosophy on both sides of the ball. Not to talk off the record, but, I remember having my first conversation with Justin was in the pharmacy aisle at ShopRite, and he had said something to me about, if we can run the ball for 400 yards in a game, we're going to run the ball, we'll take the air out of it. I was ready to go to the altar there. And that's his philosophy. Defensively, we have a bend, don't break type of mentality to us. We're not trying to blitz too much or cause turnovers, if they're not going to be organic. And it's married up pretty well. It looks wide open, but, we're still running counter, we're still running power, we're still running ISOs. It looks flashy, but it's effective.
Patrick Woodford has been a big part of that.
Woody's been great on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about how hard he runs, and he is a great runner.
Yeah.
He's a great pass catcher. But I thought his biggest play the other night against Point was when he stripped that interception away and turned the field on him coming down the line. But, they've all been tremendous. Everybody talks about the big five, but, Cole mentioned a couple complimentary players we have in Highland and Presbury and, all these other kids who are bringing a lot to the table and getting involved. And it's fun to watch.
On that same subject, I feel like it was last year you guys opened the season with Asbury, and I remember coming away impressed with Patrick Woodford. I said to myself, like, that's a winning player. Like, that's a typical Manasquan program kid. You say, hey, that's why they're successful. How important is it to have players like that? Because you're going to have your star players, but those kids are the kids that take you to that next level. If you have a bunch of those, you're going to win a lot.
Yeah, those are the grinders, and what you see on game day from Woody is what you see in practice from Woody. Every play, every rep that he takes, whether it's an individual or group period or team period, Woody's going 100 miles an hour. He's a great role model, and those kids are the machine, the cogs in the machine that make it all go.
Cole, did you grow up around the Manasquan program?
I did not, actually.
Oh, you did?
I did not. I grew up around it. My mom went to Manasquan. My grandpa went to Manasquan. He played. And I grew up in Wall a little bit. I grew up in Wall through fourth grade. Fourth grade, I moved over to Spring Lake.
Okay.
And I was always playing Wall OAF from flag to 8th grade. But I knew once I moved in third, fourth grade, I knew that I was going to play Manasquan. And I knew the tradition of it. I would go to all the games, the Thanksgiving games, obviously. And it was awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, those Thanksgiving Day games are tremendous.
Especially as a little kid.
From the band and the parade leading into the stadium that I've been in traffic with many times because we work that game every Thanksgiving morning. But, yeah, it's just a lot of tradition. It's a typical town school, the football team revolves around that town.
Definitely. The tradition's amazing. Everyone knows about the tradition.
Yeah.
The kids, the generations, the families, everyone brings their family to the games and everything. Oh, nothing like it.
So Saturday afternoon, Asbury Park comes into Vic Caboo Warrior Field. Last game of the, the regulars. Last game before the playoffs start. You're a senior now. I know from talking to Coach Price at the time, this group was sophomores. He had high hopes for you guys. And I think before the season you said, hey, it's all on them. We're going to go as far as this group takes us. Your goals are still right in front of you, and I know you're worried about Asbury right away, but how excited are you to have the opportunity to go out and try to win another sectional title for Manasquan over the next month?
Should be fun. A lot of us have been playing since sophomores, and take care of Asbury, and with all the stuff the coach has been coaching us, you're right, it's up to us now, and we got to get it done.
You hear about Brick, you hear about Middletown South, but there's 12 footballs on the scoreboard at Manasquan, the most in the Shore Conference. That's something to be pretty proud of, Jay.
It is. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of tradition, and a lot of that goes back to Coach Caboo, but he'd even sit here and tell you, a lot of that goes back to Coach McGee and Coach Manson, But it's good, But as they say, the most important ball on that board is the next one.
Yeah. Did you feel, when you got the job, you've been there 11 years now, did you feel any pressure taking over that program? you had to feel a little bit of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
without a doubt, and Pete did too when we took
Cahill,
over from Coach
right,
Kaboo.
Coach
But
Cahill.
The one thing we've always talked about as a staff in the office is this whole thing is a gift, and to be able to work here is a gift. It's never work. It's something you get to do every day. It's not something you have to do. And we're just trying to take care of this gift and pass it off to whoever comes along and make sure it's still as good as we got it.
It is.
On that and sticking with kind of just the tradition of Manasquan, you mentioned Brick, you mentioned Middletown South. Like, there's teams when people outside of the Shore think of Shore Conference football, Manasquan is one of the schools that come to mind. And Coach talked about the tradition, and Ed just did too, and you did as well. But being a part of that, and now being a part of it as a senior, where you went through last year where it was difficult and there was no fans there and all that stuff. Have you tried to relish, and do you relish kind of this season and being a senior and everything that comes along with it, playing football at Manasquan?
Definitely. Me and the seniors, we all take it in. We all do our rituals before the games and the pos parties and everything that's been passed down from years. And same with the coaches, they pass down all the tradition. They let everyone know how to act. They teach you how to be a man. And it's good. It's good for the kids younger than us and the kids coming up to experience what we're experiencing now.
Okay, you said the magic words to me. Pasta parties. Okay. Typical question to the big stud senior, okay? You go to those pasta parties, who eats the most?
The lineman.
Well, no,
I'm
you
up there,
got
though.
you got to come up with a name.
The person who eats the most. I'd say big JJ Kavanaugh.
Okay, there you go.
The
That's why he leads the team in tackles.
Exactly.
Something like that.
Just one of these days, I want somebody to be like, actually, it's a kicker. Like, he just puts them all away. Like, one of these days, it's going to happen.
I'm up
One
there,
of these
though.
days.
I'm up there.
You're up there?
I'm telling you, I'm up there.
You don't get embarrassed at him, right?
No.
So I know, I'm assuming you want to play football in college. I know you just got an offer from Valparaiso today, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Just how's that going, that process as a senior, trying to, obviously you're focused on now, but you got to take care of that, and that recruiting process is just kind of something that everyone's got to go through if you want to play at the next level.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, obviously we still got the season to finish up, but I got a good amount of options. I'm still looking at everything. I'm obviously not set down on one school, and I did the visits and stuff over the summer, and not really sure yet, but it's a fun process, talking to all the coaches and stuff.
Couple minutes because we got to let you guys go. Defense, we didn't really talk about your defense much, which is odd because we have Manasquan on. We're going to talk a lot about your defense. You got two twin brothers, the Burns, this is Jack and Ryan, that they're throwback kids. I mean, you mentioned to me like it's like their whole lineage has basically played football for Manasquan. They have a younger brother that's in the program, if I'm correct. Just how about having those two guys? Your two leading tacklers, two important pieces on that defense. And it seems like you have a lot of fun coaching them.
They remind me of and I'm going to date myself, but the old Happy Days crew, the Malachi brothers. They it took us a year to get them to stop fighting with each other and then just focus on the game. And then once they did, they love playing and they love competing. They love getting after it. They're competitive with each other. They're competitive, obviously, against their opponents. They both have great motors. They absorb things pretty well. And even when they're making mistakes, they're still going 100 miles an hour. They just try. Their dad played here. He was the same way. They are throwback kids. They could have played in any decade for us.
The Malachi brothers.
Yeah, right.
I think they were in The Godfather after they stopped playing football, right?
Too funny. Well, guys, every time Manasquan is on, it's always a treat for us because you guys are not only a winning program but a class program. We love talking football with you, Jay, and you're always well represented with whichever student athlete has come with you to our show across the years. So I just want to thank you guys, for everything over the years and specifically for tonight, for coming down on a Wednesday and talking some football with us.
Well, you guys, as always, are the best. You do a great job. We appreciate your efforts. We miss Kevin.
Yeah.
But we really appreciate everything Shore Sports Network does.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's Jay Price, the head coach for the Manasquan Warriors, and their outstanding two-way senior, Cole Kozlowski. We thank those guys. We'll let them get back to their dinner, and then we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we're talking the number one team in the Shore, the Red Bank Catholic Casey's. You're watching the Varsity Link Coaches Corner on the Shore Sports Network. Back at River Rock Restaurant and Marina Bar and Brick on the Varsity Link Coaches Corner, Week 9. Just got done talking with our friends from Manasquan, and right now we welcome in our friends from Red Bank Catholic. It's the #1 and undefeated Casey's head coach Mike Lang and their tremendous two-way senior Alex Bauman joining us now. Casey's coming off a very impressive 47-7 win over Manalapan. Another big game this Friday night against #3 Donovan Catholic, and they were kind enough to make the drive down and talk some football with us. So, guys, first of all, thank you again for joining us, and excited to get to talk to you guys.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
It has been obviously a good season when you're 8-0 going into Week 9. So, you guys have had some big wins along the way. Another big game coming up. We'll start with obviously what you guys did last Friday night. You went into Manalapan, a tough team, a team that has been a championship contending team for a long time. And just a very complete all phases win. Offense, defense, multiple guys getting involved. And I'm sure that's exactly what you want to see, especially coming off, the game over against Rumson. People always say, could there be a letdown? That was not the case with you guys. It was a very impressive showing.
Yeah, we were very happy with, the response, like you said, after Rumson. Manalapan is a great challenge for us. It's a great program. It's a tough environment to come back in. I was just happy how we came out of the gates in that game. There was a couple hurdles in the beginning there, but overall it was a good, like you said, a good overall performance by us.
Yeah, it's not easy going there, right? You got to pass. It's out in the middle of nowhere. You got to pass. You got to pass the pumpkin fields, right? Which I'm sure were. So that night was so big. But I mean, and then you park up top and you take the long walk down the ramp. I mean, not the easiest place to play, that's for sure. But
no, it's it's grass, a little different terrain than we're accustomed to. So
right.
I thought overall the way our kids handled themselves, it was a solid performance overall.
Alex, 2 weeks ago you have the win over Rumson. I know we talked after that game. Obviously a huge win for the program, just a huge rivalry, everything that went into that. I remember you talking about the atmosphere after that game.
Yeah, of course.
How quickly did the focus switch to next week? I know typically it's like you get the day, you turn the page, you move on to your next opponent. But was there a lot of talk about let's not have a letdown? Because obviously you put so much emotion into a rivalry game, you want to match that next week. Obviously you guys did. So what was that conversation like?
Yeah, of course. I mean, after that Rumson game, the emotions were really high. We were all so excited about the team. We had a great celebration, but then we knew right away we had to move on to the next week. We couldn't have a letdown the next week and really lose our whole season just because of one game. We knew that it was a business trip, and we went on to the next one.
God, Alex, I mean, not only do you play like one, but you sound like a Division I player. I mean, you got that deep voice, like you're ready to take off. I mean, how has the recruiting process been for you? I know you're not thinking about it, but when you get an athlete of your status, it's got to come into play a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been going well. I've been taking visits, been going around places, really just talking to coaches. And, but right now I'm focused on the season, focused on our next opponent, Donovan, Friday night.
I want to start off talking about your defense. And Mike, obviously this guy is one of the leaders, if not the leader of the defense, was everything he does. But what stands out to me is the amount of players that make an impact like every game. I mean, you have a sophomore linebacker, Davin Bruton, who's your leading tackler, and has filled the stat sheet. Ryan McPherson as a defensive end, has a bunch of sacks. You go to Sabino playing a little bit of linebacker in the secondary, Rajon Cooper. Like, it goes on and on. You have, I think, one of the more unheralded players in the Shore, in Joe DiOrio, who's a corner.
Right.
If you're a lockdown corner, nobody really notices you, and he's kind of that guy. But just how about that collection of players you have on defense that you put it all together, and that's why you guys are allowing, I think, like 7 points a game this year. Yeah,
and like you touched on, we have a lot of kids contributing, a lot of different packages. We play a lot of different guys through a game, so we might have in the 20s as far as kids that participate on defense, which I think kind of helps us in the long view of a long season here. Keeps guys healthy and fresh. But like you said, it starts with Alex being the leader on both sides of the ball. I mean, obviously we have Ryan on the other side who does a great job, and it's a collective effort. Jojo Bivens has been a 3-year starter for us, and like you said, when you don't get action at corner, that's usually a good thing. But But it's just been, it's been an all hands on deck approach, and like I said, I like the fact that we're able to utilize a lot of different kids from not only our seniors down to our sophomore level. So it's good stuff.
And not only is that important just for keeping kids fresh, but to build, like coaches always throughout the years, when you have a chance to get more kids in, it's good for them. It's good on so many different levels. How much have you seen that, where as kids have gotten more time, maybe kids that aren't starters on that first series, you've seen their improvement throughout the year just because they've been able to get on the field consistently?
Well, I think it goes, defensively, and we do it on offense too, where, the more kids that are involved, the more they're vested in practice and, paying attentive, because, I have to be ready that, hey, I might not be in our base defense, but I'm in our nickel or dime or 3-3 stuff. So, and we do the same stuff on offense. So you have kids, through all different positions that, know that they got to pay attention because they might be going in the next play. So
yeah, sometimes those scout kids during the week of practice are much more important than the starters because they help the starters.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we get good looks from our younger kids.
Right.
We do just like everybody else does, where we're staging the other team's offense and defense, and guys are particular guys on the other teams, for that week, and we get a good look week in and week out from our young guys.
The Rumson game, I know a big part of that was, you guys were talking about the defense, and that was kind of a theme that week, and everyone was kind of keyed on that Rumson defense, and obviously they're very good, but you guys wanted to make a statement, and you did that, and then you come out last week and only allow a touchdown. Do you feel like this defense is rounding into shape where, in the playoffs you're going to have to play good defense, and you guys are kind of playing at a level now where, it's championship ready, and you guys are, again, ready for those big tests coming up in November?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like they say, defense wins championships, and I think our defense is that good and that high level to where we can win one.
Alex, offense, outstanding end. They split you out wide, even though you're listed as a tight end. How many, let's see, how many touchdowns?
6.
6 touchdowns, almost 400 yards.
Red zone target.
Defensively, from the defensive end, one of the top kids in the Shore on defense. What do you like better? Tough question.
That is a very tough question for me, honestly. I mean, I just love playing football, if I'm being honest. Like, doesn't matter which side of the ball, as long as I'm on the field playing football, that's what I love to do.
Yeah, how much pride do you take in being able to be that two-way player at a high level and affect the games on both sides? Like you just said, Dad, I know you just want to be on the field, but is that a prideful thing with you? Hey, I'm not just a tight end, I'm not just defensive end, I'm both.
Definitely. I take a lot of pride in that, I'd say, because I put a lot of work in the offseason and throughout the season, just on both sides of the ball, being able to play defensive end and playing tight end. I think it's a great job.
Mike, I know he's not going to talk a ton about himself, more than he really did, but I know you think so highly of him and his impact and what he can do on both sides of the ball. And we've talked, and you said, find me a better player, in the state in terms of what he can do on both sides of the ball. And, that's a legitimate, conversation to have. Yeah. So what is it about what he brings to the table every day for you at tight end, at defensive end, everything you need him to do, and really makes you guys go whenever he's on the field?
Yeah, and let me just touch on that. It's not a slight toward any other kid in the state. I just all it is what I see, where you have a kid who plays at a high level that, quite honestly, like when I talk to colleges, some guys call about defense, some guys call about tight end. So I just think that when you look at the whole body of work, you see his stats here on both sides, and it's such a high level that I think there's a lot to be said for that. But he just brings a total package leadership. He's a respectful kid, great kid in this classroom. So, it's really what an RBC kid's about.
Alex, I want to talk a little bit about your teammates. In that Rumson game which we worked, I thought Sabino Portella, was one of the bigger players in that football game, especially in the first half.
Definitely. He had an outstanding game. I mean, both sides of the ball for him, too, playing safety as well as coming down, hitting the running back, but as well on offense, running the ball, breaking tackles every time, hitting the holes hard. He did a great job.
Alex, we can't let you go tonight without a little update on your brother at Notre Dame. I know he's had some injuries. Give us a little update.
He's doing better now. He's working back to get back on the field. I think he'll be back soon. I don't know how much information I can give you, but
Oh, okay.
I'll leave it up in the air.
Anybody in the NCAA here?
He's feeling better.
He's feeling
That's
better.
what
There
we
you go.
think about.
There
All
you go.
right.
He's feeling better.
Just while we're on that, you have multiple FBS offers. One of them is Notre Dame. That's got to be exciting. to
Oh,
get an offer
100%,
like that, huh?
definitely. Yeah.
Have you been out there
This season, or I've been out there in the past. I haven't been able to go out there this
this
season.
year? Yeah, but you've been out there
yes,
watching
I have.
them, huh?
Yes.
Pretty nice place.
Yeah, it's awesome
Not a
out
bad
there.
place.
It's beautiful.
Sticking with the offense, and we talked about before, Ed and I, how many awesome quarterbacks there are on the shore. You have one of them,
Yeah.
and that's your senior quarterback, Alex Brown. Almost 1,300 yards passing, 14 touchdowns, only 2 picks. He's ran for 4 touchdowns. He almost had 100 yards rushing, I think like 98 against
Yeah.
Manalapan last week. He has come in and just been awesome for you guys. Just tell us a little bit about, what he's brought to the table on the field and just his makeup. And we talked about that a little bit, like early in the season after the Timber Creek game, where he's kind of just unflappable and just does what you need him to do when you need him to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you have a kid who's, played 3 years at a high level and, like we talked about, like doesn't get rattled. He's a heck of an athlete, running and throwing, which I think everybody's finding out. And he really does a nice job in our RPO offense. I mean, our offensive staff puts a lot on him. And, a lot of our plays are, quarterback option, where it's not traditional triple option football. It's, the quarterback gives the ball or throws it, and he makes some great decisions with it. He gets us lined up, and he's a true leader out there for us.
Mike, I hope you don't take anything out of this question, but modern day closed, completely legal. A lot of the players came over to your program because, hey, best program in the shore, let's go to RBC. Completely legal, everything on the up and up. Is it tough for the coaching staff to fit these players into your system? I would imagine that's not a real easy process.
Well, I mean, I think it's an easy process when
they're good.
Well, the other part of it is you have to fit into our culture here,
Exactly.
and I think that's the big thing is like I've heard this for a week, and we got these modern day kids now. They made the decision to come to Red Bank Catholic, buy into what we do, and ultimately like they're Red Bank Catholic kids. They're great kids. The majority. I would say all the starters that we have from them, they're all high academic, good character kids. I mean, them. And like I said, I think that part of it, I understand the beginning of the season as far as, they came from modern day, but, you'd see they act like 4-year Red Bank Catholic kids, and they get along great with our other kids. We don't have any issues like that. And, I think that's why we're having a solid year.
While we're on that, when you coach at a Catholic school, it's a little bit different in the sense where you obviously have kids from different towns, and these kids know each other. The way youth sports is now, it's not like a kid's 5 towns over. I've never heard of him. Like these kids all know each other a little bit. But how is it you and your staff try to cultivate a certain culture so when all these kids do come together, after a while it has been like they've been playing together since they were 5 and 6 years old in the same town, like at the public schools. Like how important is that, and how do you do that?
Well, it is. It's very important. I think in the social media world, where quite honestly, like I didn't know the guys that I played against in high school. I wouldn't if they showed up. That would have been the first time I met them or talked to them or whatever. But quite honestly, I think it goes collectively throughout the state. Like kids just know each other. Yeah. So. Like Alex will tell you, like Alex Brown and Alex Bauman are very close. So it makes for a very unique scenario. And, our challenge that we put on our kids is, yes, I understand the side of, winning and losing, but like at a private school, can you become a family? Can you be a brotherhood? And I think we've done a great job. And that's why the success is there because, you see a lot of great programs throughout public schools throughout the state that do that, and the challenge is, can we do that? And I think we've done that overall pretty solidly.
And I think you could see the schools that don't, because they have these highs and these super lows. And I know that's with any program, it's what you want to avoid. It's consistency, and you guys have obviously been one of the most consistent programs in the shore for a long time.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think it's just the culture. I'll be honest with you, the culture before I got here, when Frank was here, Jimmy was here. It's just and it'll be like that whenever I leave.
This week's going to be there'll be a lot of handshaking before the game,
Yep.
as Kyrie Drake enters the stadium. He's got a lot of friends on your team.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, again, going back to the whole point, the kids all
Right.
know each other. I mean,
Exactly.
It's kind of funny. But
He's fit in pretty good at Donovan Catholic, that's for sure.
yeah, great player, great athlete, can run. So, I'm familiar. Obviously, I coached against him the last 2 years too.
Yeah.
So, it's a great matchup.
And exactly, and that's a really good matchup this Friday night at Count Basie Field. It's our block game day countdown game of the week. Number 1, Red Bank Catholic hosting number 3, Donovan Catholic. And big games are fun. Obviously, it's why you guys do this and what you want to play in. Just how about that, Alex? A Donovan Catholic team coming in. You guys have had some recent history playing against them. As you mentioned, they got a lot of good players. Dual threat quarterback, a good running back, some speed on the outside, a tough defense. In your preparation, what are some of the things that you see from them that they do well that you guys are going to have to try to neutralize defensively?
They're definitely big up front. We know we have to match their physicality, if not be more physical than them, which I think we can be and are. They have some speed on the outside. Defensive-wise, they're very tough. We have a lot of respect for them as a defense, but I think that our game plan this week is really going to get after them, and I think we'll be able to run most of our plays against them and be successful.
A little bit of a revenge on your guys' mind, too, after they beat you guys last year? I'm sure that's been a theme.
Definitely, yeah. We had that loss last year. They ended our season last year. We have a bitter taste in our mouth from last year, so, yeah, we definitely want this one.
Have you noticed that, Mike, in practice, especially the kids that were, major players on the team last year, that they're a little something extra? Obviously, you want to win every week, but anytime there's that kind of revenge factor and go back, it seems like it puts a little bit more juice into it.
Yeah, and I think there's obviously obviously we have a little bit of a chip, but I think there's obviously a lot of other things that motivate us into this, whether it's, being the opportunity to be the true number 1 in the shore, playoff seeding and all that stuff. But, ultimately it's going to be a great game. We're looking forward to it.
Mike, do you have any idea how they arrive at these state rankings?
What do you mean,
The seeds.
Non-public Group B.
dartboard?
Got
I
you
have no
right up
idea.
top now. They got you right up top. I think if you keep winning.
Well, I guess as long as you're 1, you don't care, right?
As long as you're 1. But that
Yeah.
doesn't mean anything because they're going to sit down at a meeting and rank them, right?
That is
Yeah,
true.
I think from indications, it's going to be 8 teams.
Right.
8 teams put in. Where they rank everybody, I think you usually know Sunday.
Sunday night, you'll know, yeah.
Other than that, I couldn't tell you. Your guess is good
Not
as
many
mine.
people could, that's for sure.
Alex, real quick before we let you guys go, and Coach Lang just talked about it, the opportunity to kind of cement yourself as the number 1 team in the shore. I don't think I got to check in that. I don't know if there's any other shore teams in that non-public B. I don't think so.
No.
So,
Nope.
you win Friday night, you pretty much locked up number 1 in the shore. How important is that to you guys, and is that a goal, something that you guys talk about before the season when you lay that out? Hey, we want to be the number 1 team in the shore conference.
Yeah, of course. It's just another step on the ladder. We want to be the number 1 in everything we do. We want to win whatever's put in front of us. So this is the first thing that's put in front of us, shore conference champions, and that's what we want to do.
Well, you got a division title first.
I'm gonna steal your question for a second. We only got a couple minutes, but Ed always likes to ask at the pasta parties who eats the most. Like, is it Vince Carpenter? Like, it's got to be. You're 6'6", 300-pound lineman who's going to Purdue. There is some more big boys up there. Let's not. It's
I don't know.
not just him.
I would defer to Alex. I mean, he probably scouts the table out a little better than I do.
I mean, shout out to Mike Keneally. He definitely eats one of the most on the team. Yeah, 100%. He definitely probably eats the most. I know we have some big boys, but Mike keeps up with them.
That's a big group of dudes up there. Like, you're a pretty big kid. What, 6'4"? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think there's 2 kids taller than you on the offensive line, right? With Tyler Burnham and Vince.
Sometimes go on my tippy toes just to get to their head. No, I'm just kidding.
And those guys have done a great job up front, huh? Kind of unsung heroes. I mean, we see all the stars, yourself, Sabino, Torrin Harmon, Rajon Cooper running the ball. The guys out wide, Najai Rahman. Those guys up front have really, really played well for you guys, huh?
Yeah, of course. I think we have a complete team. We are all round a great team. We have really no weaknesses, I think.
Well, it's a good way to put it, because that's why you're 8-0 and going into the final week of the season, looking to lock up the number 1 spot in the shore. And then from there, it's on to the state playoffs. So it should be a fun one this Friday night. Yeah. We'll be there, and I know you guys some big games to look ahead to after that. So we thank you guys for coming down on a Wednesday.
I got one
You
more
got one
question.
more?
Yeah,
Oh,
where,
absolutely. I
where
don't
do
wanna
we
cut you
go
off.
for the pregame buffet? Beef, like about 5:30.
You talking about on
6?
Friday?
Yeah.
You're too much.
Oh, they're not giving us a buffet.
In the
I
rain?
guess
don't
I
know
gotta
about that.
gotta buy a hot dog on the way
I
up.
don't know. I think there's a Wawa around the corner.
Oh, there you go, the Wawa. I like Wawa.
Ed, always trying to get a free meal out
Yeah,
of it.
gotta look at me.
Mike, Alex, again, thank you guys for coming down and the great representation you guys put forth for Red Bank Catholic. Again, we've always enjoyed covering your teams over the years. You guys are a great program, not just a great team, and it's fun covering you guys. So thanks again for coming down.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's head coach Mike Lang for Red Bank Catholic and their outstanding two-way senior Alex Bauman. We will take a quick break, just a couple minutes left. We'll come back, hit a couple of the bigger Week 9 games. You're watching the Varsity Link Coaches Corner on the Shore Sports Network. The Varsity Link Coaches Corner for Week 9. Just about ready to wrap up here from River Rock Restaurant and Marina Bar in Brick. As we said when we had
Tremendous.
Red Bank Catholic, got tremendous guests tonight. Really, this season's been awesome, and it's what makes the show. And you have good guests, and you get to talk about their program and go inside. It's a lot of fun. Our game of the week, the Block Game Day Countdown. We will be, hopefully, weather permitting. Weather doesn't
It
look
doesn't
great,
look good, but this is not one they're going to cancel.
there's
Or
no, not at all.
postpone.
Well,
Postpone,
not
I
with the
should
turf.
say. Yeah.
When you're out there, make sure you look for the Shore Sports Network SUV and stop by, sign up to win dinner for 6 to the Butcher's Block Butcher and Table in Long Branch. They'll be open with their renovation. Steve, I think Tommy said it's not really renovation. They kind of redid the whole thing in there.
Yeah, he's
so
not calling it a renovation.
it's a complete tear down and rebuild. Other than the exterior structure, but I mean, the place was awesome beforehand. Who knows what's going to look like? Those guys don't spare expenses, so that place is going to look awesome. So sign up, win dinner for 6. That includes limousine transportation to and from the Butcher's Block in Long Branch. So again, stop by, see the Shore Sports Network SUV, and no purchase necessary. I'm not trying to sell you anything. Just go up and sign up and try to win, because if you do, man, that is a heck of a prize. Yeah, you can't miss the Shore Sports Network SUV. It'll be right at the entrance over there to Camp AC Park. Couple minutes left.
Got a couple of changes on the schedule. Why don't you give our listeners, if we
do,
have any listeners,
for
those schools?
watching, listening, all
For
all
those
the
schools,
above.
I mean.
We're a
you know.
multimedia enterprise, Ed. The Freehold Township Manchester games have moved to Thursday night at 6 for the impending weather. I know the Barnegat Pinelands game was originally a 6 p.m. start on Friday. That's been moved up to 4:30. Donovan Catholic, Red Bank Catholic, that's our game of the week. We mentioned another really good one. Number 2, Rumson goes on the road to take on the Shore's other undefeated team, and that's number 6, Long Branch. That should be a good game at Brissett Stadium on Friday night. Lacey at Middletown South. I mean, really, some great ones
games.
here. Manalapan at Central, a really good one. Tom's North at Southern. That could be the first of 2 straight between Tom's North and Southern. There's a small chance those two could be in the same bracket in the South Jersey Group 5 state playoffs. Wall at St. John Vianney, Point Borough, Middletown North, 2 very good teams coming off losses, trying to get back into the win column heading into the state tournament. Shore at Raritan, that rounds out the better games on that Friday schedule. And then, as we mentioned, Asbury Park and Manasquan on Saturday. Holmdel, Colts Neck, that's a pretty good game. Howell Freehold, that has like 38-37 written all over it, Ed. I can see some fireworks in that game.
How could you predict Howell? I mean, they're up.
They have been up and
started,
down.
0-4, and then they win a couple big, and then they lose. I mean, they're just up and down.
They have, but you know what? They've played pretty well under first-year head coach Bill Hill there. They're putting up points. Their quarterback, Stephen Jardim's throwing the ball over the yard. They got a bunch of receivers, can make plays down the field. And I'll tell you one thing, win or lose, their games are not boring.
No.
The Rebels bring it every Friday night over there in Farmingdale.
You mentioned Asbury Park at Manasquan. That's a strange game for me.
2
when
years
I
in a row
saw
those
it,
teams have
yeah,
played.
they opened up the season,
Yes.
right? But I mean, when I saw it with the Shore Conference making those matchups, I thought that was a strange one.
A little bit. Manasquan now Group 3 going into Group 1. You got to remember the north end of the Manasquan Sending District is in that. That's
that area.
Avon, really.
Yeah,
So you go up a couple, a handful, 4 or 5 traffic lights there. There you are, you're in Asbury. But I get you. And then how about this one? Jackson Memorial at Marlboro. Marlboro wins that game. They're definitely in the playoffs, which would be huge for the Mustangs and their program. Their head coach, Jason D'Agato. We had those guys on here a few weeks ago. They've done a tremendous job there. And Jackson now, trying to sustain, there's 2 wins in a row now. They're not going to make the playoffs, but trying to end the season on a high note, which is important. That kind of stuff really does matter. Talk about carryover for the following season. The sophomores and juniors coming back, Ed.
Any interest in the World Series?
I'll tell you what, I've barely watched any of it.
I've been watching every now and then as an old Yankee, as a new Yankee
I'll
fan,
turn on
and
here
an
and there.
old baseball coach. I want Atlanta to win so bad. I do not like Houston at all.
Not to veer too far off, but their manager, Brian Snicker, it's a great story. He's been in the Braves organization for something
forever.
like 40 years, and here he is. So, no, not too much baseball these days, all football, and it's hockey season. Big Rangers fan. So, try to get that
Well,
on
there's
the
nothing
TV
on
when we
tonight.
can.
Flip it on, Channel 5 tonight.
Maybe I'll do that. That's going to do it for this week. Week 9 of Varsity Link Coaches Corner. I'd like to thank, as always, the staff here at River Rock Restaurant, Marina Bar and Brick, doing a great job and for hosting us every week. We get this nice little side room to ourselves, and it's awesome for our guests to come on, families, parents to come by, have something to eat, and catch the show. So we appreciate their support. We've been coming here for a few years now, and it's always a great time. Of course, we thank our guests from Red Bank Catholic, Mike Lang and Alex Bauman, from Manasquan, Jay Price and Cole Kozlowski. Of course, our sponsor, Varsity Link. Those guys doing a great job over there. Some innovative stuff in the world of athlete social media, and we're proud to have those guys bringing the Coach's Corner to us every week. For Ed Sarluca, Steve Meyer, and Tom Tremblay, I'm Bob Batters. You've been watching the Varsity Link Coach's Corner on the Shore Sports Network. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.